All right, so we're diving into U.S. Department of Transportation software engineering contracts today. We've got a couple of interesting documents to unpack. We've got a draft statement of work for a DOT software engineering BPA, and we also have a past RFP for similar services. So think of this deep dive as like your cheat sheet to understanding what DOT needs and how you can win these contracts.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the scale. I mean, DOT's IT portfolio is huge. We're talking about 130 active applications, all needing modernization and development. It's not just about keeping old systems running, it's about building the future of transportation technology.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to embrace new approaches. This statement of work makes it clear DOT is all in on Agile, Scrum, DevOps, all those modern development methodologies.
Right. If you're still stuck in waterfall, you're going to need to catch up.
Definitely.
And this shift is part of their larger destinations digital program, streamlining their IT portfolio, moving towards shared services. Understanding this big picture strategy is crucial.
Okay, so let's get specific. What exactly does DOT need help with? This statement of work lays out a pretty diverse set of task areas.
It's a broad spectrum for sure. Analytics and data engineering, which makes sense. DOT handles massive amounts of data. Then there's geographic information systems, GIS. Crucial for everything from mapping to infrastructure planning.
And of course, cybersecurity is huge. I mean, with connected vehicles and smart infrastructure, DOT is taking information security very seriously.
Absolutely. The statement of work even mentions AI-powered attacks and the potential impact of quantum computing on security. They're thinking ahead, anticipating future challenges.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it. All these cutting-edge technologies shaping the future of transportation. And DOT is right there, exploring things like IoT, blockchain, even edge computing.
Yeah, they're definitely not content with the status quo. They want to leverage technology to improve safety, efficiency, sustainability across all modes of transportation.
It's not just about the shiny new tech either. They're also emphasizing process engineering.
Right. DOT recognizes that optimizing processes can lead to cost savings, which is always a priority for government agencies.
And this ties into their focus on system development methodologies. They specifically mention needing compliance with DOT's Enterprise Program Management Review, the EPMR.
Yeah, the EPMR is their framework for making sure projects are executed effectively. Accountability, transparency, delivering value for taxpayer dollars, all that good stuff.
So we've got this high-level view of what DOT needs. But what does it actually take to win one of these contracts? That's where this past RSP comes in. Gives us a glimpse into what DOT was looking for in a contractor.
One of the first things that jumps out is the need for specific technical experience. The RFP lists a whole bunch of technologies like Adobe Experience Manager, Appian Cloud, various AWS tools.
It's a pretty daunting list. It really underscores the need for specialized expertise in this market. It's not enough to be a good software engineer. You need experience with the specific tools and platforms DOT uses.
Right, and it's not just about knowing the tech. It's about having demonstrable experience. This RFP required examples of projects with over 100 users. They want to see you can work at scale.
Exactly. They're not interested in pilot projects or theory. They want to see you can deliver solutions that work in production.
And speaking of real-world experience, past performance evaluations are a big deal in DOT's selection process. This RFP made it clear. A strong track record is essential.
It makes sense. Past performance is a pretty good indicator of future success. DOT wants to be confident they're partnering with a team that can deliver.
Exactly. This is where a solid portfolio of completed projects really matters. Backed up by positive client feedback, of course. It's about proving you can walk the walk.
All right, so we've got a better understanding of what DOT needs and what the competitive landscape looks like. But how can companies actually position themselves to win these contracts? That's where ProposalHelper and BidExecs come in. These tools can be incredibly valuable.
Let's start with ProposalHelper. This tool helps you create compliant and compelling proposals, tailored to DOT's specific requirements. Remember that lengthy RFP we talked about? ProposalHelper can help you break it down, understand the key requirements, and make sure you address every single section.
Yeah, it's like having an expert guide walking you through the process. And it's not just about checking boxes. ProposalHelper helps you craft a narrative, one that showcases your strengths, highlights your relevant experience.
One thing that stood out to me in the RFP was the requirement for a quality assurance surveillance plan, a QASP. That can be a tricky section to write, but ProposalHelper has templates and guidance to help you create a comprehensive plan.
Now let's talk about BidExecs. This tool is all about getting ahead of the game. It gives you intel on upcoming opportunities and helps you develop a winning capture strategy.
Think of BidExecs as your early warning system. It provides insights into DOT's priorities, upcoming solicitations, even potential competitors. This lets you start your research and planning early.
And one of the things I find most valuable about BidExecs is its ability to help you identify potential teaming partners. Sometimes the best way to win a complex contract is to build a team with complementary skills and expertise.
Absolutely, teaming can be a strategic advantage, especially when you're dealing with the breadth of technologies and services that DOT requires. BidExecs can help you find the right partners and build a winning proposal team.
Welcome back.
So we're gonna continue our deep dive into DOT software engineering contracts, and we're gonna focus on a really crucial element: past performance. It's kind of like your reputation in the government contracting world, right? Proof you can actually deliver.
Right, you can have all the latest technologies, methodologies down pat, but if you don't have that track record of success, DOT might not even give you a second look.
Exactly. Past performance is all about walking the walk. DOT wants to see evidence that you can handle projects similar to what they're proposing. Similar size, scope, complexity, all of that.
Okay, so what are they looking for specifically? How does DOT actually evaluate past performance?
Well, they want to see that you've delivered high-quality work. On time and within budget, of course. But they also want to know how you managed the project, how well you communicated with the client, how you handled any challenges, that kind of thing. It's about exceeding expectations, not just meeting the minimum.
Right, makes sense. So let's say you've got a great track record. How do you actually make sure DOT sees it? How do you showcase that past performance?
That's where strategy comes in. You can't just dump a list of projects and hope for the best. You got to be selective. Highlight the projects that are most relevant to DOT's specific needs.
So if they're looking for a team to build a cloud-based application, you'd want to showcase projects where you've done that successfully in the past.
Exactly. And don't just tell them what you did, show them. Provide specifics, Talk about the challenges, the outcomes you achieved. Quantify those accomplishments whenever you can.
So instead of saying, we improved system performance, you'd say, we reduced system response time by 40% and increased user satisfaction scores by 25%.
That's it. Make it tangible, measurable, and relevant to DOT's goals. Oh, and don't underestimate testimonials. If you've got happy clients who are willing to vouch for you, let their voices be heard.
Right. Testimonials can be really powerful. Okay, let's talk about how this past performance info actually gets used. Is there a specific section in the proposal where you submit it?
Usually, yeah. There's a dedicated section, sometimes a separate volume even. Sometimes it's within the technical proposal.
And how is it scored? Does past performance get its own grade?
It varies, honestly, but generally it carries a lot of weight in the overall evaluation. It can be the deciding factor between two proposals that are otherwise very similar.
So not something to be taken lightly.
Not at all. Building a strong past performance record takes time, effort. But it's a crucial investment for success in government contracting.
We talked about early engagement and the capture process being important. And that applies to past performance too, right?
You're absolutely right. It's never too early to start thinking about past performance. Ideally, you're building that track record before you even submit a proposal.
So every project you work on, even if it's not directly related to DOT, could potentially contribute to your past performance record.
Precisely. Every successful project is a chance to gather evidence, collect testimonials, strengthen that reputation. It's like building a portfolio of your company's expertise.
And it's not just about the big flashy projects either. Even smaller projects can demonstrate your ability to manage, communicate, deliver quality work.
Absolutely. And remember, documentation. Keep detailed records of your projects, performance metrics, client feedback, lessons learned, all that. So when it's time to submit to DOT, you've got all the evidence to back up your claims.
Speaking of evidence, this RFP we've been analyzing, it gives us some pretty specific insights into what DOT values.
Yeah, one thing that stands out is their emphasis on scale. They specifically mention projects with over 100 users. So if your experience is limited to smaller internal projects, you might not be seen as having the capacity for a DOT project.
And it's not just about the number of users. They're looking for projects deployed in real production environments.
Right. Pilots and proofs of concept don't carry the same weight. Gotta be the real deal.
It's interesting to think about how much those expectations have probably grown since this RFP was released. I mean, cloud computing is even more pervasive now, and DOT's IT systems have probably gotten even more complex.
For sure. If you're trying to break into this market now, you gotta be strategic. Think about the projects you pursue, the experience you're getting.
And this RFP also said the experience had to be from external clients, not internal projects. That adds another layer of complexity.
It does. It highlights the importance of building relationships, collaborating on projects, showing potential government clients like DOT what you can do, building credibility in a complex environment.
Okay, so we've covered scale, production environments. What else is DOT likely to scrutinize when it comes to past performance?
Well, the technical challenges you faced are key. DOT wants to know you've tackled complex problems, come up with innovative solutions. They want to see that you can handle the curveballs.
So if you've worked on a project integrating multiple legacy systems, or migrating a huge data set to the cloud, implementing a new security protocol, that kind of thing, those are all things to highlight.
Absolutely. Those are the kinds of experiences that demonstrate your skills and your ability to solve those real-world problems.
And again, it's not just about listing the tech you used. It's about explaining the specific challenges and how you overcame them.
Right. Like instead of saying we have experience with AWS cloud migration, you might say we migrated a 10 terabyte data set to AWS while maintaining 99.99% uptime. We used data compression techniques and parallel processing to minimize downtime and ensure data integrity.
That paints a much clearer picture.
Yeah.
Shows you understand the nuances of those challenges.
Exactly. You're not just throwing around buzzwords. You're demonstrating a deeper understanding.
Okay, so we've got scale, production environments, technical complexity. Anything else we should be thinking about with past performance?
Don't overlook the human element. DOT doesn't just want systems built and delivered. They want to know you can work effectively with people too.
So communication, collaboration, client management, all part of the equation.
Absolutely. Those soft skills are just as important as the technical expertise.
How do you showcase those soft skills in your past performance submission, though?
You need to provide evidence. Evidence of your ability to communicate well, build strong relationships, manage client expectations, all that.
So you might talk about your process for gathering requirements, your approach to project communication, maybe your track record of resolving conflicts and keeping projects on track.
Exactly. And again, testimonials can be really powerful here. If a client can speak to your communication skills, responsiveness, that's gold.
It all comes back to trust, right? Showing you're not just a vendor, you're a partner.
Right. DOT wants teams they can rely on. Teams who understand their needs, who can work collaboratively.
So we've covered a lot of ground on past performance. But there's one more crucial element to discuss.
You're talking about metrics.
Exactly. Numbers, data points. It's not enough to say you did a good job. You got to prove it.
If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, right? Applies to past performance, too.
So instead of saying we improved customer satisfaction,
Right.
you'd give a specific metric like we increased customer satisfaction scores by 15%.
Exactly. Metrics provide that concrete evidence and make it easier for DOT to compare you to other bidders.
And those quantified examples we were talking about earlier, those are essentially metrics in action.
That's right. So whenever possible, quantify those accomplishments. Provide those data points.
Okay, so what kinds of metrics are particularly relevant to DOT's software engineering needs?
Based on this RFP, they seem interested in on-time delivery rates, cost performance, system uptime, defect rates, user satisfaction scores, that kind of thing.
So it's about showing you can deliver projects on time, on budget, with high quality.
Exactly. And those are just a few examples, of course. It'll vary depending on the project. But the key is to be prepared to back up your claims with data.
Don't just tell DOT you're good. Show them.
Right. Let those numbers speak for themselves.
Okay, so we've talked about what metrics are, why they're important, but how do you actually go about collecting and tracking this information?
Great question. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore some practical tips and tools for gathering that performance data and how to present it to those government evaluators.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive. So we're wrapping up with a look at how to use metrics to really make your past performance stand out. It's not just about saying you're good, it's about proving it with data, right?
Exactly, like we've been talking about. Metrics are crucial for showcasing your past performance, especially in a way that government evaluators really respond to. But it can be tricky to collect and present this data effectively. You got to tell a story with those numbers, not just, throw data at them.
Right, it's all about making it meaningful. So where do you even begin? Any tips for gathering the right kind of performance data?
Well, first things first, you need to define what success actually looks like for each project. What are those key performance indicators, KPIs, you'll be tracking?
And those KPIs should align with DOT's needs and priorities, right?
Absolutely, 100%. If DOT emphasizes on-time delivery, you better be tracking your project timelines like crazy. If security is their top concern, you need data on your security testing, vulnerability remediation. Basically, you got to speak their language with your metrics.
Makes sense. So you've defined your KPIs, you're diligently collecting data. Now, how do you present this info to DOT? How do you make them say, these are the folks we need to hire?
It's all about crafting that narrative. Don't just bombard them with numbers. Weave those numbers into a story that highlights your strengths, your ability to deliver.
Give me an example. I'm a little lost.
Okay, so instead of just saying, we achieved a 99% on-time delivery rate, you might say, our rigorous project management processes and proactive communication strategies enabled us to consistently deliver projects on time and within budget, achieving a 99% on-time delivery rate across all our DOT projects in the past 5 years.
Oh, I see. That's much more compelling.
Right. You're providing context, explaining the how behind the numbers, connecting those accomplishments directly to DOT's priorities. You're showing, not just telling.
And visuals can be powerful too, right? Charts, graphs, infographics, make the data pop.
Absolutely. A picture's worth 1,000 data points or something like that.
But you got to choose visuals that resonate with DOT, right?
Yeah.
What are those key takeaways? Your visuals should highlight them.
Exactly. And don't overwhelm them with too much info either. Find that sweet spot, enough detail to back up your claims, but simple enough that DOT evaluators can grasp it and remember those key accomplishments.
So we've covered a ton in this deep dive. DOT's IT needs, their move to Agile, the specific technologies and skills they're looking for. We dove deep into past performance and how to use those metrics effectively.
And before we go, just one final thought. This tech world is constantly changing, right? What's cutting edge today could be ancient history tomorrow. So how do you stay ahead of the curve? How do you make sure your skills and experience are what DOT needs?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. And the answer is you got to be a lifelong learner. Embrace those new technologies, new methodologies. Always be looking to expand your skill set. Tools like BidExecs are super helpful for staying informed about trends, new opportunities.
So stay curious, stay proactive. That's how you position yourself for success in this market.
Absolutely. It's an exciting field, tons of potential.
And with that, we're wrapping up this deep dive. Hope you found it insightful.
If you're interested in learning more about ProposalHelper and BidExecs, check out their websites. We'll link them in the show notes.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time.